Hi, Craig Urquhart here, and welcome to another edition of Berlin Conversations. Today I'm very pleased to have with me Robin Kallmeier, who is an outstanding piano technician working in Berlin and Hamburg and all over Europe, and looks after my piano, which I'm extremely grateful for. And welcome, Robin. It's really great to have you finally sit down with me because our love of pianos brings us together, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how it is, yes.
Yeah. And you are German, right?
I am.
Yeah. And you grew up in what part of Germany?
Actually, in the northwest, it's probably quite close to the Netherlands border. It's Osnabrück.
Osnabrück, okay.
Not such a big town, just a tiny little town.
Well, we all come from someplace,
yeah,
right?
all
Me
come
too.
from some places.
And when did music become a part of your life?
Actually, quite early, because just my mother thought it would be sensible for our upbringing to have some music in our life. And I started like the classical German way, like with 3 or 4 years with this, what's it called? Not xylophone, but this Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel,
So you play it after colors, green and blue points, and
Yeah.
you just have to. And then I said, with like in the age of 6, I was kind of fond of this sound of pianos, which I heard at school and somewhere. And then I just told my parents I want to play the piano. So I think in the beginning they worked quite well. That must be an expensive thing,
right,
but I had an aunt and she had a auto piano, and that's the one I learned on.
Oh, that's cool. That sort of reminds me of Leonard Bernstein's story.
Because?
He played his Aunt Clara's piano to start with.
I see. See?
It's a banged up old upright that is someplace. I think it's in Harvard or some museum. I don't know where it is now. But
Yeah, I still have it on me. I have it at my home.
oh, do you
Still,
do? So that's
still,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. And so, did you always want to be did you want to be a pianist at first, or?
And no, not at all. I never thought about becoming a piano technician. I was just fond in music, and started singing, started playing the violin, played the piano, and then when I was 16, 17, I had the crazy idea of doing opera singing.
That is
I
a
don't
crazy
even know
idea.
where it came from, but I wanted to be an opera singer. And I knew that my piano teacher at the conservatory in Osnabrück, that her husband was a opera singer at the theater. So I asked her if I can take some lessons. And she came from Hungary. And she told me afterwards that she invited me to make me, because I wasn't such a really good student in playing the piano. I was kind of lazy. And she said, okay, I invite this student to my home just to give him an idea of it's not the best idea to study music. And
That's
then
encouraging.
that's not encouraging. Yeah, but it's she didn't told me in this time. She just told me like years after, and I didn't even know anything about classical singing. So I came there unprepared, and then she asked me if I prepared anything, and I was like, oh no, I didn't know I have to. And then she just started to do some exercises. And after half an hour, they talked together. She and her husband. And I was wondering what they are talking about because I couldn't understand. So
right.
it was
No one
Hungarian.
understands
No, yeah. And in the end of their conversation, they asked me, "Do you really want to study music?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." I had no idea. I had no clue. And then they invited me to have some lessons because they said, "Well, we have to see how your voice developed, but it's interesting." And that's how I started actually to get more into sound.
Into sound.
Into sound,
That's
yeah, into sound, because like, I mean, like using your own voice is also something that has to do with like freeing, freeing your voice from all the stones that you like kind of in like spoken language that you use to you use pressure or whatever just to free like a sound from a body, like and I think that's where I started to learn to listen.
I like that concept
Then
because
well, that's a personal history, but actually then everything got a big mess, and I had to move out my home quite early because well, that's another story, but they asked me to still go on with the lessons, but I wasn't able to. I couldn't afford to pay on my own, so they offered me to arrange their garden for some singing lessons, and I did.
well,
And once
I can
when
think of worse ways to make money.
yeah, definitely,
I love
definitely.
gardening.
It was a great deal, and I was quite honored. Like when I look at this story, I think, okay, if they wouldn't have offered me this, I would never have been so close to music like in this time.
It's actually a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. I had never the chance to thank them because I lost the contact.
Oh,
And
that's
when
too
I got
bad.
into the contact, they already died and passed away, both of them. And then I had like one try at the University of Heidelberg. I messed it up completely. And
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
yeah, and I think it wasn't the right place for me to be, and it wasn't the right place for me to be, to have something to do with music in the front line. So.
But you're a very fine pianist. I've heard you.
Well, kind of, but I decided to do another round then, and it took me some years. I quitted singing completely in this time. Even if my both of them, like my piano teacher and her husband, weren't quite happy because they saw some potential in me singing, but I felt like this is not the way I want to live. This is not what I want to experience.
Being a singer is a very difficult
Yes.
world, as you know, as I know. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it was the right decision for me because then it took me some time to explore how can I be in touch with music without doing music on my own. And that's where the point came. I mean, I come from a family where everybody does crafts in some sort. And the first thing I thought about was working with wood, because this was the material I liked most, and I didn't want to become a carpenter. I didn't want to build windows or you know. And then I thought about, well, what's about building instruments, and the piano was my first instrument and the closest one for me. So I decided to become a piano technician. And I moved to Berlin in this time, or I already was in Berlin, and No, that's not true. I was in Bremen actually, and had my first time in my first try in Bremen, but it was a workshop I wasn't that pleased with, and I was already 20 something, 23, 24.
Were you apprenticing at these?
It was a practicum. It was like
Practicum,
the
yeah, right.
thing
It's like
before.
we call it an apprentice.
Then I moved to Berlin and had another try in a workshop here, and that's where I did my apprenticeship for 3 years.
So you pulled together your love of wood,
Yeah.
your love of sound, your love
Yes.
of music,
Yes, kind of.
and working with your hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I would say as well that in the beginning it's different than it became in the end, because the first few years, even after my apprenticeship, I concentrated on this crafts thing, like really doing soundboards, doing bridges, like doing a fine woodwork.
So you were in a rebuilding, piano rebuilding
Yeah, I was
factory?
in a workshop that did restorations as well for the museum. That's kind of rare to find, but I was lucky to find that. So I had the chance as well to get in touch with different sorts of sound in different building times. You know,
Right,
because like
pianos-
cembalo is different than harpsichord is different than the piano, and then you have everything in between in this historical development of pianos. So I got in touch with different sounds, like the imagination of sound, because we rebuild them. We don't do it like it was done in those times, but you're quite close to this development of sound, and that's what in the beginning was really my I think the biggest interest I had, like this historical development as well. So I started after my apprenticeship. I started my career in the Berlin Museum. Museum of Instruments at Potsdamer Platz.
Oh, that's a fabulous museum. If people don't know about it, they should really go when they're in Berlin and go to it. It's fascinating.
Yeah. But there as well, I realized that restoration is something that you do nowadays, not to experience sound, but to keep the material you have in a certain circumstance. So you never have the chance to listen to the sound of all the instruments that they have there, because they don't do restorations nowadays anymore. And I finished my time in the Berlin Museum after a year and got back to several workshops where I worked in the workshop and did soundboard repairs. And then, of course, I started to work with the mechanics. And what you always do is like tuning. You know, this is a like butter and bread thing. And this is actually where the story with sound started. Because in this combination of being outside, tuning pianos, tuning the customers' pianos, and then you have like different customers, and of course, you know, in the beginning, you just tune for everyone, you know, just for families, wherever. And then I got in touch with customers who are professional musicians, and of course, they have different ideas of how they how they want their piano to sound. And then I started to focus more on mechanics and sound.
Interesting.
And so
Well, I'm glad you did that, because I just love the work that you do on my instrument.
But still, I think it's a good mixture. When I look back nowadays, I think like having a good idea of how a soundboard works, like how all these acoustical things work, it's good to have in mind if you work on sound, because that's what it is for me. It is like it's all about resonating. You know,
I get that.
You have to.
I don't think most people know how complicated a piano is in terms
Yeah.
of its mechanics. How many, let's say, a concert grand, how many moving parts does it
I
have?
think I don't even know, but if you read in whatever, it must be something like 6,000, 7,000
Yeah.
parts, you know, you have in this, in a mechanic.
And it's not just, the thing I really love about you is that when you come here, you don't come and just tune a piano. You know, I used to, I don't want to, there were piano technicians that just showed up and they brought their machine and put it on the piano.
Yeah.
And that just
Yeah.
is like, no, I'm
No.
so sorry
Yeah.
that there's not taking care of an instrument. It's just, it's not even a basic thing, because
Yeah.
every instrument has a different personality. Would you agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Every instrument has a different personality, and it's also a question of the person who plays. You know, I don't even know when we met the first time. It is
We
it's
were introduced
years ago
a couple
already.
years, yeah,
It's a couple of
fast.
years ago. But I remember that it was really interesting for me. I think after, I don't even know, like after the first tuning or before the first tuning, I asked you to play. Because that's interesting for me. I mean, it's a different thing if I prepare an instrument for whatever, you know, for the university, for
Yeah.
example. I can't ask who is playing it, but here I have the situation. I have a customer who's playing the piano and who has a certain style. So it's always like, for me, it's kind of, I have to find out what do you want. So I have to see, how do you play, what do you play, what is your way to get in touch with the piano, what do you hear. So actually I always need to translate your words into technical terms for me. And therefore, I think it's really important to get to know the instrument first, but also to get to know the pianist. Because when I'm working on your piano, you know, and it doesn't have to please me. It has, I mean, of course, you know, we're in an area of it pleases me, it pleases you, but I have to find out what you feel with this instrument, and where do you want to get the instrument, what, like, how it resonates with you. You know, it's kind of, you're kind of one, you know, you're kind of one, you're getting together, and I
This
have
has been
to
one of my best friends
yeah,
for over
that's
45
it.
years.
Yeah,
Yes.
see, and that's what I have to, first of all, I have to get in touch with those two parts of this friendship. So I have to get to know you, like in a musical term. I have to learn to understand you when you're talking about your piano, because you're not talking in the words of a piano technician. You're talking in the words of a pianist, in the language of a musician, and I have to translate that. That I can do a work that pleases you, that the piano, like, that puts the piano like closer, even closer to what you need. That's how I understand my job.
And you've done a brilliant job with my piano. I mean, it was very difficult for me because the person who took care of my piano since I've had it was a remarkable piano technician. And and then I moved to Berlin, and then I didn't move the piano to Berlin right away, and then he passed away. And it was impossible to find somebody that really approaches pianos the way you do, and the artist. And that's a unique relationship
It is.
And it's an important one for an artist, I think.
Yeah.
I'm surprised sometimes. Some of my friends who are pianists, they don't understand. I'm just shocked about the kind of pianos they have or what they play on and what they think is just fine. And that I just wouldn't work for me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think like people are really different. I have different customers, like I have those as well, like professional musicians who are kind of, yeah, it has to work. But I have as well many who want special things from me.
I'm
And
sure, because
for me in the beginning, it's always translation. I always, first of all, it takes some time as well. I remember when I came to you, I knew, okay, I just played and like heard it, and I knew, okay, you're okay with what you got before, but there's something missing. So first of all, I have no information at all. Also, well, only the piano that gives me some information, but that is not enough because I don't know what doesn't please you. I remember that I came here and was wondering, okay, he is not pleased. That's what you told me. I think when you called me, you're not
no,
like not 100%.
it wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Yeah. So I just listened to it and I was like, okay, technically, and to just put technical terms, it was like a correct tuning, like, but that's not how it works. So I remember that the first time we met, that I told you we have to get in touch with each other, and first of all, I need like maybe one tuning, two tunings, three tunings to see what is like, where am I going? I have different ways to go, so but I have to find your path and not mine, and not the technically correct one, but the one that is like that you have to
That resonates with me.
that resonates.
Yeah. And
it's all about resonation.
and it works beautifully. And I just love my piano, and you make it sound so amazing.
Yeah.
And
I love it. I love it as well now.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're friends.
yeah, I know. I mean,
We get.
and you work on so many pianos, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you ever tire of it? I'm not talking about the physical work. I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. To be honest, I mean, of course, I have my good days and my bad days, but I'm doing it for over 20 years now.
Do you have good and bad days?
Yeah, I have good and bad days.
I can't
Always when
believe
I'm here, I have a good day. No, but I mean, of course, it's not all situations of my professional life are like this, But so when I'm working for the university, for example, it's a different style.
Yeah.
But anyway, I would say that was your question. Am I tired? And I'm still not. I mean, sometimes I ask myself why I'm not tired, because when people know what I'm doing who are not musicians, and maybe they listened a tuning once or half, like half of the time they listened, they were like, what the hell do you get out of this? And it's because I mean it still takes me. I think it takes a way to get into this part of tuning that it's not only about the height of a tone, but it's that you can really, by tuning, you can influence the whole sound. Because and this is for me still amazing. it's still developing. Each time I'm tuning, I'm still finding something new and something in the sound I didn't hear or listen to before. So you can, like in everything, I guess, but in this special situation, you can get deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is what motivates me. And this is why it's still not annoying, because it's not, I'm not interested. Even if I come and the piano is completely out of tune, first of all, I always listen, what sound do I have here? I mean, even if it's, you know, an incredible saloon sound like from some old Western blah, 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 doesn't matter. I listen to the like just one tone gives me the information how this, how the soundboard is balanced. If it's balanced, if it's not balanced, if it's completely like that, or if it's like possible to be free to resonate. And that's why I'm still into it. And I can do it for another 20 years.
Great. Good.
I hope so.
I hope so
if my
too,
ears last.
Yeah. And the other thing which I love about pianos, they're organic. You know, they're made out of wood.
Yeah.
And they do breathe, and they do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't understand that. You know, the laymen, they just think, oh, piano is just a piano. But these are very complex and very personal. No two pianos is alike.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and I think people think piano, you know, and it's just a piano.
Yeah.
But it's not. You know, especially on these high-end pianos that you work on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, this comparison to violin, you know, like with violins, everyone has heard of this Stradivari, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's easier to understand because you don't have such a big instrument, you know. I mean, here we have these heavy parts. We have the metal frame, for example, and nobody can imagine this big instruments to be kind of sensitive.
Right.
You know, I think that's it. And then you have the mechanics as well. Like you're not, I think people think you're not in direct touch, you know. A violinist just puts his finger on a string and has like direct contact, except for the people who, you know, who play harp or does, you know.
We know that.
Yeah, but I think it has more the appearance of a machine. And I guess that's why people are in this idea or stay in this idea of a piano as a piano. You know, what can I do on it? I mean, even if you ask like technicians like tuning, I know many of my colleagues, you know, just tune. You know, just put it in the right mathematical or like it's all physics. No, it's not all physics. You know, the way you move the tuning pin, the way you put it in a line has an impact on the sound. And that's what most people don't understand. But I mean, working as a piano technician means always to decide if you're doing it for longer, you are not an expert in everything. You know, you have so many parts. You can be good in the woodwork. You can be like perfect in the like regulation of the mechanics. You can be perfect in voicing. You can like put all your focus on tuning. So you kind of have to decide, you know, if you're focusing in this direction or in that direction. Because I have colleagues who are like perfect woodworkers, but I don't want them to tune. I don't want them to touch my piano after they finished their work. Okay. So that's a different thing.
And The piano is classified as a percussion instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So isn't that an interesting thing? Because we're always looking for the lyricism, for the, the depth of sound
Yeah.
and the singing quality of the instrument. And that kind of is an antithesis to the concept of percussion, even though a drummer can change the tone of a drum.
Yes, that's the question. If I don't know, I never talked to a drummer about that, but maybe there are drummers as well who would say, my instrument, I get my instrument to sing.
Yeah, I'm sure there are.
Because it's also about like you have also a membran,
membrane, yeah.
membrane, to resonate. So maybe it depends on who you ask. And do I agree with? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on which. I mean, of course, like seen from the physics of the instrument. It's very. I mean, I did my masterpiece, and we had to do lots of mathematical work on it, and I mean, it's all calculated, kind of. It starts with the strings. It's the height of the soundboard of the bridge, the pressure you put on, but and in the end, with the mechanics, of course, you have you touch the key, but like theoretically, you don't touch the string. But you, as a pianist, know that you're in contact through the mechanics. And I have seen once a video of a mechanic working in slow motion. And it was some concert play that they put a little camera inside. And when you watch this, it's like all the wooden parts that seem to have for example, a regular ankle of hammerheads to the shrink. It's I think whatever it's shrink,
The shank.
The shank.
Yeah.
But when it moves, it's not at all in the ankle that somebody calculated. It's like moving in all directions. And that's where I think is the part where it stops to be a percussion instrument.
Right. Okay. And then we have the pedals.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole different technique.
Yeah.
On top of.
Yeah. I was always really bad in pedaling. So, but through pianists, I understood, like when I started this thing, you have these measurements down there, and you just put it like it's said in our piano technician manual. Give millimeters like that, but it's not like that, of course.
Also, in today's age, we have a whole industry based on computer sampling and all of that. For me, I can always tell the difference between an organic instrument and an electronic one.
Yeah.
Even if the samples are good and they're amazing, but they never sound organic to me. They don't sound alive.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.
I mean, I have friends that are pianists that say, I can't tell the difference. And I go, yes, you can.
You can if you want. Yeah, you can if you want to concentrate and really get into sound. And I mean, in all of my years that I worked in workshops, I also worked in shops. Like every workshop has a shop normally. So you have customers then, and you just like have a Saturday selling pianos to families. And it was interesting because once I worked in Leipzig in a really big shop, and they had a huge part of the rooms were like grands on the one hand and the uprights on the other hand. And then you have this like 6-year-old kids. And it's so interesting because when you see the kids like just walking around in the shop and their parents have the talk like with me or a colleague, then doesn't matter if it's a like high energy kid or low energy kid, they all end up at one of the biggest grants, just pressing one key, and they are completely amazed. They are like, wow. And that's interesting because the younger you are, I guess, the more you are open to this. I mean, it's all, it's not only a soundboard resonating, it's the air resonating. It does something with our, I mean, coming from this singing part, I think it's really, it makes us resonate. Like one of my singing teachers once said, like, how many like percent of water do we have in our bodies? And of course, it's a difference how this water gets into a moving moment, then our body moves even if we don't recognize. And I think that was something that was interesting for me, that like every kid ended up in this grand section, and then the parents were like after a quarter of an hour, oh, where is my kid? Does it anything, anything it shouldn't do, or he or she shouldn't do? But they were absolutely calm, just sitting at a grand, pressing some keys. Yeah.
I do tell parents when they ask me, what should we get? And I said, give them a good experience when they're beginning.
Yeah.
And because that's where they're going to fall in love.
Yeah.
Don't just go buy one of these tiny little keyboards and just teach them to read notes. Let them listen. I think you brought that up earlier about listening.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be mean to people, and so how do I say this? I do find a lot of pianists these days, they're incredible. They can play circles around me.
Yeah.
They can play anything. I mean, they can sit down and play the Chopin etudes as if there were nothing. But I sometimes find I don't feel that they're actually listening to what they're playing. And so there's a disconnect for me from their performance, because if they're not listening to it, then why should I listen to it? And
good question.
yeah, and I'm not trying to be harsh, because I mean some of these young pianists, they really can play things like people couldn't play before.
Yeah.
And but they're not listening, a lot of them.
Yeah, but I think you have to be. I mean, you have seen a university from inside, so I have only been there as a technician, and I wasn't that amused about how they treat the pianos there. And actually, I see. Okay, it's a question as well if, like nowadays, these studies are really arranged like that you learn to listen. I have some customers who I know from the very beginning, and like first after 5 years, 10 years, they, for example, played on different instruments than they had in the university, and then they say, now I start to listen to differences of pianos. Before I didn't. And I think it's also, for me, it's also a kind of false idea of being technically perfect, but where do you have to put your focus on? When you study, when you're young, it's all about, I guess nowadays, it's all about being a perfect technician as well. To just learn your job and to advance, but technically. And is it really the institution who gives the people the chance to experience different sorts of sound? And this is a pity, I think. Because if you don't do it if you don't have the motivation on yourself or kind of experience something else, then you will never know the differences of sound and of your own sound as well.
I had well, it's funny because when I was a teenager, I worked in a piano workshop also.
Yeah, you told me.
Right, and it was something I was considering doing.
Really?
Yeah. And the workshop is still there. It's in Michigan, and they rebuilt pianos as well as sold new ones. But they would work on some of the older American brands, which aren't made they're made, but they're not the same anymore. Yeah, and they were amazing, and it was an amazing experience to experience different instruments. And, we look at the French music. If you look at the pianos that Debussy wrote on,
Yes.
they're very different sound than our current pianos.
Yes.
And likewise with, Bartók and all these, and the piano has, for me, it has a way of inspiring me. And as I said to you, it's been inspiring me, my piano, because it responds to what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling and what I want to try and say. And I'm forever grateful for that, And that was one of the best lessons I had. He said, you've got to listen to what you're playing.
Yeah.
You can sit down and do,
Yeah,
but
of course.
anybody can do that. But how do you make it special? And how do you listen to your own voice? And that was my first real mentor in terms of sound. And then the other one was, of course, Leonard Bernstein, who told me about composing. He said to me, I showed up with different styles of music, serial music, all this academic stuff that I was taught, and then my tonal music, which is what I write now. And he said, you have a voice. Which one is real? Which one really expresses you?
Yeah.
What is your real voice? Are you listening to yourself?
Yeah.
And that was, again, that line, if you can't listen to your own voice, then no one else is going to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very valuable lesson.
It is, and I think there is some comparison to being a tuner who is or like piano technician who is involved in sound. Because I had a teacher for at least a year who had the idea of there's also a match between pianist and a technician, because tuning, it's the same. You can do it in technical terms, but then you have to start to listen. And if you listen, you also can have a certain, I guess, you can also have a certain own sound of tuning that you prepare on the piano for somebody else to play, of course. But working as well in factory, building new grants. I experienced that if you have, I don't know, 6 tunings, 7 tunings, 8 tunings until the piano is finished. In every section, you have a tuning in between every work that's done on it. And I experienced that I can, when I know like after some time, of course. And I know the colleagues, I can say who tuned it before me without looking. You always have this
documentation.
this documentation. Without looking, I can say this is a tuning of this person, that person, that person.
Yeah, everybody has a different ear. Everybody has a different relationship.
Yeah, and it's really about sound. It's not about tone height. It's really about the sound that you.
Yeah, and how to, it's amazing. And how long does it take to build a high-end grand, like a concert grand? It depends on the factory, I know, but the average.
It depends on the factory, and I mean, of course, you always have these times for the piano to rest. But I don't know it in hours, to be honest.
But I'm talking about years. It's 6 months.
No,
a year?
it's less than 6 months.
But the soundboard has to age, right? Before.
Yeah, of course. You don't. If you count that in, I don't know. But that's also a difference between the modern pianos nowadays and the older ones. And some, I mean, there are people that say, because you don't have this time for soundboards to last, so now they have different processes of drying the soundboard. They put it under much more technical pressure, like they really dry it down that like in every situation it will last, and and I mean, I had the opportunity to work with really old grands, like I did in my own workshop for years. I did restorations from like instruments that are like 1870, something like that.
And that was the beginning of a big change for pianos too, because they had the cast iron.
Yeah, it is. I think the biggest change is this 1850 years. And I mean, there is a connection between the pianists and the componists of this time. I always say, kind of as a joke, but kind of as serious as well, if Beethoven would have had better ears in his older age, then the piano wouldn't look like this, like it looks nowadays.
Well, he was writing for an instrument that didn't exist, actually.
Of course.
Well, especially when you look at the last piano sonatas, the Hammerklavier, those pianos,
of course,
they just weren't made for that.
Yeah. They weren't made for that, and I mean that's why. And I mean he's one of the persons in the musical history and as well in the piano history, like where for whom like piano technicians wanted to work because it was some reputation to work for Beethoven. So they all tried to build something new for him, and then they waited until he said no or yes.
Yes, right.
So that's the way it is. But like some people had like great influence on how the piano is nowadays, even if it wasn't like that in these days when the people.
And maybe a final question, maybe not. But today, I believe piano building factories and corporations, the various different ones, and they're also now beginning to use more scientific methods or different. They use technology more than they used to.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're stamping them out like factories, but I mean, measuring acoustics and stuff like
of course they try, but this has always been in the history of piano building. It has always been the same. You had always like those technicians who wanted to like kind of explore something new. And then you had the pianist who said, no, not this way. It doesn't work this way. You had, for example, this, how it's called in English, the Röllchen. Like
the bushing.
No, it's not the bushing. It's like this little round thing that you come from underneath. Well, doesn't matter how it's but you had it is a part which is not moving itself, and they made it moving, and they wanted the piano to be faster, to have this. It's always about how many times a minute or a second you can touch, you can have a repetition of the tone. I mean, that's what they measure. Of course, I know why, but you have some literature. You don't need it to be faster and faster and faster.
Right.
It's not. And then you have pianists who said, no, it's not feeling good. I don't have a precise feeling anymore, and I need this. So to come back to these materials and methods, I would say our craft is still one of the crafts that you can't do without experience and without really a good craftsmanship in every term. Coming to strings, coming to soundboard, coming to mechanics, doesn't matter. It's still a lot of work done by people with their hands. And I heard of Chinese productions where they tune, where they have a tuning chain and everybody tunes 1 octave of the piano. And in the end, it's an incredible mess.
Yeah, I would think so.
It's not, also this is organic. You cannot they wanted to make it of course, building pianos has something to do. You build them to earn money,
right.
And all the manager says it would be lovely if we have less human power and more more like computers doing stuff for us. But in the piano world, it doesn't function.
But in the end, this is an organic instrument.
It's an organic thing, and it needs the experience of so-called manpower. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Robin, thank you so much for
thank
coming
you too.
by, and thank you. I'm so grateful I found you.
It was a great pleasure.
And
still,
and it just makes my life so much better.
If it's that easy, Craig, wonderful.
It's not that easy. Trust me, it's not that easy. And it's been great getting to know you and to watch and to experience your craftsmanship and your dedication to the incredible art that's still left in this world. Yeah, so thank you.
It's an honor to work with you, and thank you for the invitation.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay. Thank you for joining Robin and me today for this very interesting and I found very stimulating conversation. And I hope you press a like and share, and looking forward to seeing you for the next Berlin conversation. Have a great day and be well and peace on earth. Okay, thanks. Bye.